everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome back to the 12 days of mini Christmas amigurumi. I'm Lauren from a menagerie of stitches. We're cruising through the remaining minis and I can't believe it's already day 8. I hope you're ready to add another mini to your collection. Let's quickly recap what we've made so far. We have a hot cocoa, a drum, a snow globe, a Christmas tree, Christmas lights, an angel, and a Christmas pudding. If you're new here and are wondering what the 12 days of mini Christmas amigurumi is, be sure to go back and check out the previous videos for all of these patterns. They will be linked in the description below and you can also find them on my channel. Make sure to subscribe so you can follow along each day. If you'd prefer an ad-free PDF version of these patterns, you can purchase the downloadable PDF on my website, amenagerieofstitches.com. Before I reveal today's mini, let's go over the materials we'll need for today's project. You can find the full material list in the description below. For yarn, I'll be using Hobbie's Friends Cotton 8-4. This is a weight 1 or super fine yarn. We'll need the colors Jungle Green, which is number 111, and we'll also need Cranberry, which is color number 42. Because these projects are mini, you'll only need one skein of each color. This is a great stash busting project, so feel free to use whatever type of yarn you already have on hand. You'll also need a size B 2.25mm crochet hook, a pair of scissors, a yarn needle, black embroidery floss and a needle, a stitch marker, 3 pairs of 4.5mm safety eyes, fiber fill, as well as hot glue, which I already have off to the side heating up. All right, enough about the materials. Let's see what we're making for day 8. Today, we're going to be making this adorable little holly plant. For this pattern, you'll need to know how to make a magic ring, as well as how to chain, single crochet, invisible decrease, slip stitch, half double crochet, and double crochet. You'll also need to know how to work into both loops of a chain piece. Video tutorials for how to do these techniques can be found in the description below. Now we're going to make the holly leaves and we'll be using the color Jungle Green. We'll need to make 2 holly leaves and they're made exactly the same, so just rewatch this part of the video for the second one. To start with round 1, it says to chain 8. So I'm going to make my slip knot and let's make 8 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now the pattern says starting in the second chain from the hook and in both loops leaving the back bump, we're going to do a series of stitches. Before I tell you what the stitches are, the back bumps are going to be the little ridges on the back side of the chain and we will not be working into those. If you're unfamiliar with how to do this technique, there is a video tutorial that is on my channel. You can find the link in the description below. So to begin, we're going to be working in both of the loops, which is the V stitch. And to begin, we're going to make a single crochet. So I'm going to insert my hook underneath the V, or both loops. So it should look like this. And then I'm going to yarn over and make a single crochet. Then the pattern says to single crochet again. So in the next stitch, I'm going to insert my hook underneath the loop. So it should look like this. Yarn over and pull through. Yarn over and complete the single crochet. So at this point, your piece should start to look like this. On the bottom here, you'll see that those are the back bumps that we did not work into. We'll be using those bumps later to work into for the other side of the leaf. Now let's continue with the pattern. It says half double crochet into the next stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook underneath the loops, yarn over again and pull through, then yarn over and pull through all 3. And that's your half double crochet. Now the pattern says to make 2 double crochets into the same space. So we'll yarn over and we'll insert our hook into the loop, into both loops, I should say. So it should look like this. Then you're going to yarn over and pull through, and you'll have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through 2. Yarn over and pull through the remaining 2 for a double crochet. Now let's repeat that in the same stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook in the same space, yarn over again and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. And that's your double crochet. And you can see that 2 are in that same space. Now we're going to make a half double crochet into the next stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook underneath the loops, and then yarn over again and pull through, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops. Now we're going to single crochet into the next 2 spaces. So we're just going to insert our hook underneath the loops. So that's going to be the first single crochet, and then we're going to single crochet into this last stitch. So underneath both of those loops, pull it through. All right, and this is what it should look like on the first pass. So you'll have all of these stitches on top. We have a row of ridges or back bumps along the bottom, and we'll be working into those next. Now we're going to chain 1 and then working into the back bumps. So I'm just going to turn the piece over so that those bumps are easily accessible. And I'm going to make a single crochet into the first bump. So you'll just insert your hook underneath that loop, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and make a single crochet. And now we're going to make another single crochet in the next bump. So insert your hook underneath the bump, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through. So that's your single crochet. Now in the next stitch, we're going to make a half double crochet. So yarn over, insert underneath the bump. So it should look like this. Yarn over and pull through. 3 loops around my hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Now in the next bump, we're going to make 2 double crochets together. So yarn over, insert into the bump, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through the remaining 2. Now do the same thing in that stitch. So yarn over, insert into the bump, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the remaining 2 loops for the double crochet. And these 2 double crochets are actually on top of the other ones from the other side of the leaf. Now in the next bump, we're going to make a half double crochet. So yarn over, insert underneath the bump, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Then in the remaining 2 bumps, those will be a single crochet. So I'll insert my hook underneath the bump, single crochet, and then in the next one, which is the last bump, make a single crochet. And that is going to be the end of round 1. I'm going to place a stitch marker in this last stitch just to help me so I know where the leaf is going to end. To start with round 2, we're going to make a slip stitch in the first stitch. Then we're going to make the first part of the leaf. So to begin, we're going to make a single crochet, chain 2, 1, 2. In the first chain, we're going to make a slip stitch. So it should look like this. Now we're going to single crochet into the same space as that first single crochet we made. So single crochet. And then we're going to make 2 slip stitches in the next 2 spaces. So here's 1 slip stitch, and then we'll make 1 more slip stitch in the next stitch. So let's look at this. This is how your points of the holly leaf should be looking. Now we're going to repeat that once more. So I'm going to single crochet into the next stitch, chain 2, and then in the first chain we're going to make a slip stitch, and then we'll single crochet into that same space as the original single crochet, and then we're going to make 2 slip stitches. So 1 and 2. So that's going to be the middle part of the leaf. Now we're going to do a different set of repeats. First, we're going to single crochet, then we're going to chain 2. We'll slip stitch in the first chain from the hook, and then we'll single crochet back into the same space as before. Now we're going to make the same exact thing we just did in the next stitch. So single crochet, And this is going to be technically the chain 1 space from round 1. So single crochet in this spot, chain 2, slip stitch in that first chain, and then we're going to single crochet in the same space as before. Then we're going to do it a 3rd time in the next stitch. So single crochet, chain 2, in the first chain we're going to slip stitch, and then we're going to make a single crochet in the same space as the other single crochet. So this is what it should look like. It's going to be the peak of the leaf, which is why we don't have all of those slip stitches in between these. Now we're going to move on to another set of repeats, and we're going to start with 2 slip stitches. So slip stitch in the first stitch, slip stitch in the second stitch, then in the next stitch we're going to single crochet 1, chain 2, slip stitch in the first chain, oops, slip stitch in the first chain, then single crochet into that same space as the original single crochet. Then we're going to repeat that once more. So slip stitch, slip stitch, so those are 2 slip stitches, then single crochet, then chain 2, slip stitch in the first chain, and then single crochet into that single crochet from before, the same space. Then I'm going to remove this stitch marker, and in that last stitch I'm going to place a slip stitch. All right, and that is what your leaf should look like at the end. Now I'm going to trim this and leave a tail for sewing. I'm going to pull the loop all the way out. Then I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to weave in our starting tail. All right, then I'm just going to trim this. All right. And then I'm going to take my yarn needle and I'm going to make an invisible fasten off or a clean fasten off on this part. So just insert your needle underneath a stitch of loops right there next to our fasten off, pull through, and then bring it forward. Go underneath the back loop of our slip stitch at the end, pull through, and then I'm just going to leave it like this, and we'll make one more and then I'll show you how to sew them together. Now that we've made our 2 holly leaves, we're going to connect them. I like to take the one that has the tail and have it on the right side, and I'll place it on top of the other holly leaf. You want to place them on an angle so that they're not straight on top of each other. So just angle the last part here. Then with the yarn needle, I'm going to weave it into the bottom leaf. So it should look like this when you turn it over. And I'll pull this through. And then I'm going to take the needle and weave it back into the bottom leaf, coming up to the top. And just pull that. And then I'll insert it on the top leaf, back into the bottom leaf, and I'm just going to continue doing this until I am happy with how secure the leaves are together. Now the front can be a little messy if you need it to be, but the back side you do want it to be kind of neat because this will be shown on the back. And I like to sew up until the middle point on both of the leaves. And now that I have finished sewing, I want to make sure that this tail is on the front, so on the right side of the work. And I'm going to tie in a little knot. And this is okay to do on the front side because the holly berries are actually going to cover this once we attach them. So just trim your tail a little short. And it should look like that. And like I said, the berries will cover that little knot at the end. Now let's make the berries. Now let's make those cute berries. I'll be using the color Cranberry for these. We'll need to make 3 berries, so once you've finished the first one, just repeat this pattern for the other 2. Starting with round 1, the pattern says to make 5 single crochet in a magic ring. So I'm going to make my magic ring and then make 5 single crochets inside. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then I'm going to pull the tail to close the hole. And that's going to be the end of round 1. Let's move on to round 2. Round 2 says increase in each stitch around for 10 stitches. So that means I'm just going to place 2 single crochets into each of these 5 stitches for a total of 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and that's going to be the end of round 2. Now I'm going to take my stitch marker and place it in the last single crochet. And let's move on to round 3. Now for round 3, the pattern says single crochet 1, increase 5 times for a total of 15 stitches. So I'll just place 1 single crochet in the first, and then in the second stitch, I'm going to make an increase. And I'll repeat that all the way around until I hit the stitch marker. And that's going to be the end of round 3. Moving on to rounds 4 and 5 of the pattern, it says to single crochet 15. So that just means I'll place 1 single crochet into each of the 15 stitches for both rounds 4 and 5. So that's 1, 2, 3. All right, and that's the end of round 4. Now let's repeat that same exact thing for round 5. All right, and that's going to be the end of round 5. Now it's time to add the safety eyes. So for these, because the inside of the berry is so small, I actually don't add the safety backings just because they don't fit. So instead I actually melt the safety eye backs and I press them flat against the yarn. Obviously you don't want to give this to a small child or a baby, and I would never recommend doing so if the backs are melted. So if you want to add the safety eye backs and they fit, then by all means do that, but this is just my preference since they don't fit for me. If you'd like to see a tutorial on how to melt the backs of your safety eyes, I'll leave a link in the description below for the tutorial that I have on my channel. To add the safety eyes, we're going to be placing them between rounds 4 and 5. So I'm going to count from the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Insert into the piece, and then we're going to count 3 stitches over. So 1, 2, 3, and in the 4th one, I'm going to place the second safety eye. So it should look like this. Now I'm going to turn this inside out, and I'm going to melt these backs. So I'll be right back once I'm done. All right, so just for reference, this is what it will look like once you have melted the backs of the safety eye. I just make sure that it's pressed flush with the yarn. So then if I turn it back right side out. The eyes are perfectly attached. Now let's add the smile. If you're unsure how to do this, I do have a tutorial how to do it and it'll be linked below. All right, now I'm just going to secure this with a knot. And that is how I'm going to add the face. Now let's continue making the rest of the berry. Before I move on to round 6, I'm just going to take this starting tail and kind of bunch it up and stick it into the top of the berry. It just acts as more stuffing, so we don't have to add as much fiber fill later. And it makes it so it's out of the way. Now let's move on to round 6. The pattern says single crochet 1, invisible decrease 5 times for a total of 10 stitches. So I'll single crochet 1, and then I'm going to make an invisible decrease. And I'm going to repeat that all the way around. And that's going to be the end of round 6. Now I'm going to add fiber fill to the berry. If needed, I like to use a chopstick to get the fiber fill inside of this small piece. Just me working this in. You'll just want to work in the fiber fill so that it's not sticking out, because this is as much as we will be able to add to the berry. Give it a little smush. Now let's move on to round 7. Round 7 of the pattern says invisible decrease around 5 times. So that just means I'm going to be closing the piece and placing an invisible decrease in each of these stitches. So we'll start with the first one. And this is number 2. Three. 4. And then 5 is this last one. All right, and that's the end of round 7. Let's fasten this off and close the hole. So I'm just going to trim a little bit and then just pull this tail all the way through. And now let's take our yarn needle and close the hole. Working from the inside to the outside, underneath the front loop only, you'll just insert your needle and pull it through for those 5 stitches. So that was 1. That's 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then just place your thumb right here next to the hole and pull until it closes. Then insert the needle into the very center of that hole and come out one of the stitches on the side. Pull it through and then just pull it and the hole will close. I'm not going to secure this one just yet because we will be sewing all of the berries together. Now it's okay if one of your berries is a little bit larger than the others. They don't all have to be perfect. So to attach the berries, I'm going to take 2 of them, and one of them is going to have this tail and it has the yarn needle attached. Then I'm going to take the second berry, and you'll want them to be kind of, the eyes to be skewed. So you don't want them to be on top of each other straight. I like to kind of turn it so that it's angled. And I'm going to take the yarn needle and go back into that hole that we came out of when we fastened off. I'm going to go back down to the bottom of the berry, like so. Then I'm going to take this second berry that we want, and I'll place it right on top of the berry, the first one, like so. Let me get... All right, so you want it to be kind of off-centered like that, and then you'll just pull the needle through. Oops. I can't get it. There we go. And then just pull until that tail is all the way through. And then you can kind of adjust how the berries are looking. Then to continue sewing it, we're going to go back through that same stitch hole on the bottom, come out through a different hole on the top, and then go back into that first berry. And this is just going to be the technique we're using to go back and forth, so that way these berries are sewn together and don't come apart. So I do this about 3 to 4 times, depending on how secure I want it. All right, and you can kind of smush the berries so that they form back into their circle, because they do get kind of misshapen. All right, and now let's add the third berry. So I'm going to take the same tail that I'm using, and I'll go back up, and I'm going to come up to the other side of the berry on above his face, pretty much. Then we'll take that third berry, and I'll place it so that the eyes are kind of the same level as the first berry. And then we'll just insert our needle into this third one and pull it through. And then we're just going to repeat this, but we're also going to sew this third berry to the first one. So once it's in this little nook right here, we'll just stitch it to both of these. Once you're happy with how they are positioned and sewn, you're going to want to secure all of these 3 tails that we have. So I'm just going to tie a knot on all of them. Once you have all 3 knots tied, you're just going to trim these tails pretty short. You don't need them very long. And then I'm going to take a smaller crochet hook and I'm going to weave them inside of the berries. So I'll just insert, grab hold of that little knot and pull it inside. Just like so. Now that you've sewn and secured all the tails, it's time to add the berries to the holly leaves. To attach the berries to the holly, we're going to apply a small dot of glue to 2 of the berries, and we're going to leave 1 untouched. So I'm going to put some glue on this first one, and then on this second one here. Then we're going to take it and place it on top of the berries, just like so. This bottom one will hang off of the berries, so it's no need to add glue to that one. And then you're just going to press them into place. And here's our finished holly. This is definitely the smallest one. It's the perfect size for a brooch, so you could attach a pin back and wear it on your jacket or sweater. I hope you enjoyed making this mini with me today. And if you did, please give this video a like and leave a comment. Make sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the rest of the 12 days of mini Christmas amigurumi. I can't believe we only have a few days left. I'll see you all back here tomorrow with another fun tutorial. Happy crocheting, friends!